The kid quarterback keeps rewiring neurological pathways. The kid goalie just keeps denying pathways to the wild net. Leader Fan Radio Network, and KFAN.com. Take that, Kevin Fallness. 2 minutes, 11 seconds past the hour of 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. We welcome you back to a Thursday edition of the Bumper to Bumper program on a, not too cold, but rather overcast Thursday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. My name is Dan Barreiro, hockey ambassador. Gardsy's the producer of the show, fresh off a trip to Glen Mason's old territory, Lawrence, Kansas. And we are delighted that you are along for today's ride between now and, I'm presuming, 6 o'clock tonight.
Yes, sir.
Big, kind of a program change today to accommodate schedules. Russo Radio is going to join us tomorrow, and we needed somebody to move to today. And that person, graciously, indeed, is Lavelle E. Neal III. So he's 5:02.
Correct.
Is that correct?
You got it.
Dr. Dan's inbox, 5:30-ish, or in that vicinity. In addition, we've got Sean Salisbury confirmed for 3:30 tonight. And Bill Guerin, the Wild general manager, is scheduled to join us probably about 4:22-ish, 25-ish, whatever we're going to do. Bill Guerin will be with us then, and we'll get caught up with him regarding his suddenly red-hot Minnesota Wild hockey team. I will fully admit that I will try to get him going.
Really?
On a goalie controversy.
Oh, yeah.
But my heart won't be in it because, as we talked about yesterday with Brett Blakemore, there's no need to turn it into who's actually number one. In other words, there may be a time where that's a worthy conversation as we get much deeper into the season. Now it's all for the good. It's all for the good, right? Because you came into this season feeling good about, I think, your number one goalie, and not so good or a little concerned about, well, where's the kid, Wallstedt, when's he going to start,
prospect,
picking it up? And it's the kind of, his performance gives you, if it creates any sort of drama, it's the kind of drama you live for. I've always felt that the goaltender position is one of the most romantic in all of sports. Mythic. You can build myths around great goaltenders over the course of a season, over the course of a single game, right? Sometimes a single period. And it ain't a problem if you feel like you can go with either of your goaltenders, especially the way the league has evolved, where generally speaking, it's not like the old days where like Tony Esposito, Cesar Maniago might start like 75 of 82. Those days, I think, are gone, or you prefer for them to be gone, the way the league is set up here. And the kid was very good again when he needed to be last night, right? They eventually did score. Well, I should say earlier in the game, they did score on him, which in of itself might have been worthy of a commemorative print, right? He had the
like
shutout
110
streak,
minutes?
175 minutes.
Wow.
And 12 seconds. 95 consecutive saves. That's awfully, awfully good. By the way, for the record, 22 minutes shy of the franchise record set by, care to hazard a guess?
Devin Dubnyk.
Our guy.
Yeah, Dubs.
Former regular on the Bumper to Bumper show, Devin
absolutely.
Dubnyk.
That's like the one goalie I could name off the top of my head because of that.
And it worked. And it absolutely worked. And, eventually, well, look, we've been giving up like 1-2 goals a game for a while. The kid gave up more than that, but by all accounts, he's the reason you steal the game. That for much of it, and as I said, we'll talk about a lot of this with Bill Guerin, for really much of the puck game, shall we say, we did not have the better end of the action at all. That's the beauty of the position and the beauty of what a goaltender can do to change the game. You never apologize for a goaltender stealing a game. It's, I would say, not a luxury, it's a requirement. If you're going to be a team that eventually has a chip, chair, and a chance to, dare I actually say it, get out of round number 1. And in his case, again, I don't think anybody was giving up on him, but there was a lot of JJ McCarthyism going on with him. Like, oh man, he's awfully highly touted, but we're not seeing the returns on it.
Dan Orlovsky was doing videos about his mechanics.
That's absolutely right. Yeah. Well, his base. Everybody knows his base
balance
was screwed up.
Yep, his left shoulder.
Eyes. What was the rest of it? Eyes.
Feet and eyes.
Feet and eyes.
Feet and eyes.
Feet and eyes were a problem. Well, I did like did you see by the way, is it officially I've heard Wallstead or Volstead. What's correct?
I don't know, but we're going with Great Wall of St. Paul, so I think it has to be Wallstead.
Oh, and then in that case it probably does.
That's what people are going with.
I love the quote that he had. We're getting a lot of philosophy from our kid quarterback. Are we not?
Oh my gosh.
JJ McCarthy?
Yes, we are.
So, I kind of like this philosophy. And apparently, as our favorite writers from The Athletic laid out, Wallstead was spending some time scrolling TikTok.
It's important.
And here's the quote he saw. I don't know how it was presented. If there were no goals scored in hockey,
yes,
no one would play it.
He said that last night to Joe O'Donnell. I was listening to the postgame once we landed.
Yes.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I thought it was the greatest quote I've ever heard. It's
tremendous.
Such a good quote.
I didn't even have to rewire my neurological pathway to understand it.
Exactly.
And his response to it was that kind of made me think a little bit like, okay, there's supposed to be goals in hockey, but then it's my job to not make them happen.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
It was so good.
Absolutely well played. And you'll notice it was played after another outstanding performance, in this case, a 4-3 shootout win over the Carolina Hurricanes, where he blanked the opposition in the shootout period.
With some ridiculous
Yes.
saves.
Well, he also didn't he have to save a breakaway in the overtime period?
He did, yes.
Because he gave up a late goal to tie it, but then he more than redeemed himself with the way he finished the thing. So if you look at sort of the position that this team is in now, the surge that has taken place, we've talked about it for several days. It starts with better goaltending, and it starts with very good defense, and suddenly we're not giving up 3, 4, 5, 6 goals a game, right? All that matters. By the way, there was another interesting stat that I had missed, that last night was the 10th consecutive game in which the Wild scored first.
That's helpful.
And it is helpful. In fact, it's according to Russo, the last team to score first in more than 10 games in a row is the Lanch, going back to 2021-22. Now, again, they blew the lead in this one, but ultimately they were able to save it. And, I think we find in any sport, scoring first doesn't guarantee you a victory, but it does put you in very good stead and very good position. So the surge we are seeing in the standings, so to speak, because it's hard to move up, I know, the way the standings are set up in the NHL, but the surge we're seeing in terms of victories, right? Points. Suddenly, we're starting to consistently get 2 points, or at least one. All of that starts with very good defense, better defense, and better goaltending as well. And when they started the season, what did we think the percentage between the two goaltenders was likely to be?
I would think 70-30, 65-35 maybe.
I think 70-30, maybe even 75-25. Depending on, but that's not ideal.
Because they just signed Gus Bus too,
correct.
Right? They
That's
gave him
exactly
an extension.
it.
They believe in him.
Exactly it. Now, I think the more you see, you're saying, well, maybe it's going to be 50-50. Or maybe it's going to be 55-45. Whatever the case may be, that's always to the better. Because we've talked about this how many times with Luigi. There is, other than quarterback, there is no other position, I don't believe, as important in any major sport as goaltender. Right? I just don't think anything matches up to it. And we see that last night, evidence of that, where you go, well, we should be down several goals in this game. Now, the comeback to that is, of course, you want to play better. You do not want to send out the message that it was okay the way you played, but it's hockey. And so good teams have goaltenders steal games all of the time. It's a wonderful attribute to have. And if you can nurture the notion that you've got two goaltenders going pretty good, and you can maybe for a while go with one who's especially hot, but not fear then going back to the other one, that's all good. And that's not a place we felt this team was headed at the goaltender position when the season began. Now, again, we got a long way to go.
Things change frequently.
They do, but the indications are very good, and he has been outstanding for sure.
The only time the goalie controversy has come up where it's been bad is when you have a goalie that's playing better, but you play Marc-Andre Fleury in game one of the playoffs because he's been there before.
Should I bring it up with Guerin again?
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Not.
I mean, you can. I don't. They're in the town, right, where they became so close.
That's true.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it was great. It was a really long post-game show, by the way. It got me almost all the way home from the airport to my house. So I don't know if Fallness was taking liberties because it was after midnight.
Does Fallness say Jesper Wallstedt?
He might.
I'm getting a lot of those. Jesper Wallstedt.
I feel like that's what I've heard most frequently.
Jesper Wallstedt. But then how do you do the nickname?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll ask Bill Guerin. You'd think he'd be an authority on that, correct? If anybody would know, you'd think he would know. No bonus bucks, correct?
Correct.
Let's come back and prepare for bottom of the hour for our guy, Shawnee. I've got a couple of football nuggets early as well. All right, Sean Salisbury coming up at the bottom of this hour. Bill Guerin about halfway through the 4 o'clock hour of the program. Lavelle and the inbox in the 5 o'clock hour as well. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of lost in the wilderness when it comes to the ongoing effort to rehabilitate JJ McCarthy's quarterback image every day but Sunday. You know, that, and it clearly, you tell me, I mean, it clearly doesn't bother everybody as much as it does me, because I keep waking up not intending to go back to it, and then I find another observation either from the player or the head coach or somebody around the head coach, and I just shake my head, and because I honestly believe we're in bilateral leg weakness territory here.
It's a good comparison.
In that, you know, by the way, it long term, it didn't damage Joe Mauer that much because he ended up as a first ballot Hall of Famer. But as that contrivance was uttered, that quote to describe whatever series of injuries he was dealing with at that point were apparently about, there was a lot of eye rolling because it just didn't make any sense, and it didn't help. It really didn't help the player at that point in a public sense from an image standpoint. And I continue to believe that the people around him are not doing JJ McCarthy any favors with some of the gibberish that we're hearing. I've said even if some of it's true, it sounds so otherworldly. It sounds so much like we're trying too hard that I actually think on this occasion a Mike Zimmerized approach would be better, which would be a lot more tight-lipped.
Excuse me? And
really not maybe giving away much of anything other than, well, we just needs to play better. And now, though, the problem is I'm saying the people around him are not doing him any favors. Now he's speaking about these neurological pathways.
Yep.
And then what was the one? Somebody sent me this. Did you see this one? I don't know how new this is.
I got a lot of texts yesterday regarding the things that were said by JJ and on behalf of JJ yesterday. So I've seen most of these.
This is from Ben Gessling. McCarthy said when he's out walking his dogs, he'll try to sneak in an extra 10 reps with his drop back and delivery footwork.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just telling you.
I know.
It's too much. Here's the thing. If you talk to ex-players off the record, they're rolling their eyes too. Not, again, because they think he's done, that he can't get better, but it's the old just play. Just get better, improve, and then we can talk about, burnishing your image, making it seem, like you've got your legendary, whatever the case may be. I like, somebody tweeted me earlier, and I like the way he put it. This is from Jan the sports fan.
Love it.
I had to jump out of the way of your eyes rolling when you read about JJ rewiring neurological pathways as a key to his development. What? How many freaking excuses will KFC make before the season is over? He's learning. It ain't going well. Say it. That's it. In a nutshell. It's okay to say he's learning.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of things to improve on.
And don't say
it ain't
learning
going well.
And don't say we're being presented with learning opportunities or some fancification of it. Just say, yeah, we've got to clean up some things. Speak English.
That's it.
Speak football.
In this case, cleaning up some things is actually better than trying to articulate the things if you're going to articulate them the way they are. Like this is some new age lab experiment.
I know.
He's playing quarterback in the National Football League. And again, all it's going to take is some better performances, which may start as soon as this week. Who knows? Weirder things have happened. The whole world thinks the Vikings are going to get killed in Green Bay.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. Often that means the exact opposite will happen for whatever the reason, right? Because football's weird. The football gods work in mysterious ways. I'm going to ask Sean about it. I'll get his reaction to it. Salisbury as well. I said yesterday, there's people mad at Chris Carter. I didn't know that one of McCarthy's personal private coaches had gone after Carter when we had him on. Mm-hmm. Do you know about that?
I got caught up on it. Yep, I've seen it.
So I asked him yesterday if he wanted to come back on, and he said no. He said the only quote I want for the record is, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Which is, probably
Classic.
makes some sense. But there's some people mad at Carter because we're not really supposed to talk like that because you used to be a member of the team. Chris Carter with us, were you on that day? Or
I was.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Monday.
I thought he was more than fair, and he didn't go scorched earth.
And he said, we'll be okay.
Yes.
He said,
you got to keep playing
fans.
him.
Yep.
And you got to figure it out. He was concerned by some things. There's no question about that. But I didn't think he went over, any sort of line. And I think players who've played, that's what they're looking for. In just whatever those 10 steps are, just do them.
Correct.
Just do them. If they will get you to a better place, that's great. But laying it out the way you do, all it comes off as, it doesn't come off as tweaking. It comes off as a fundamental and complete change on how you do your job, which, again, if you believe it, then you say to yourself, they were wrong about inserting him as the starter from the start of this season. They were wrong. I mean, they just were. If you have to start or continue a revolution with him, and you know that he didn't practice much last year, right? Then to me, what you're admitting or revealing in a strange sort of way is we did need to wait another year. We did need to play this out even longer. If indeed the fundamental elementary stuff you're talking about him needing to do better or do completely differently than he ever did before, if you still have that far to go in the process, right?
I'm going to defend them in the explanations in this way. Our media jackals love bringing up the process and the fundament. They love pulling at this thread.
They do.
I've been teasing all of them about it basically for like the last month. How do you, even in training camp, the process.
And why do you
of
think
practice,
that is? Do you think it's because they love they love the detail? Is that it?
Maybe.
Why is there not any ability to say, really? Is this really what we're? I know we asked, but is this really what you want to give us?
But they're also beat writers as opposed to columnists. They're looking for stories and explanations. So I'm defending all sides there.
That's true.
But what I've left with this week, and I know we have to break for Salisbury, after listening again to another week about base, balance, body, Brosmer,
feet and eyes,
neuropathy, whatever we're talking about here, I'm guessing Mahomes wasn't worried about neuropaths.
Neurological pathways.
Yeah, Josh Allen, who we compare him to now, I'm guessing he wasn't worried about pathways. My succinct reaction to everything I've heard specifically this week, especially JJ saying they're basically reteaching him the entire position from what he's learned as a fetus all the way through IMG Academy and the private coaches. And the other story is Daniel Jones should be the starting quarterback right now. That's what I've learned for the week. They should have given him $17 million and said, it's your job to lose.
Or at least, you can compete for the job.
Yes.
We promise you it's an open competition. It's not closed.
That's what I've come away with.
Well, yeah.
And I'm not giving up on JJ either.
No,
I believe in development, and obviously he needs it. And I'm not saying he's a bust like so many are willing to do right now. I still believe in KOC, but
they're making it sound like they have to rework almost everything he does so that he does it non-mechanically. He just does it out of habit, and then that means you get. And I'm sure they would say, well, we didn't know that he had this far to go, but they should have. And now we're left with the position you're in, where the season itself can't say it's going to be wasted if you get experience from him, but that's very different
than the season we were promised.
If they're honest, they thought that were going to be among the goals that they were going for this year. Real quick, where did it go? This is rebuilding. No, I had one other quick. They're coming in so fast is the problem. Oh, Zimmer. This is from Tom, Columbia Heights. Zimmer was tight-lipped. Didn't he rip all of his quarterbacks in training camp for being unvaccinated? I'd rather have short and to the point answers than the word salad that KOC is giving us.
Did you see the game?
Let's come back and get Sean Salisbury's view of the JJ McCarthy dilemma and a name for next year that is already being floated for Minnesota by, among others, your guy, Mike Florio. That's next. All right, Sean Salisbury is raring to go. I apologize for lousy clock management to getting him earlier because we like every minute we can get with Sean. If you have questions or comments, and some of you already have, pass them along to us. The Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is open at 64686. You're the perfect person to get into this with us and to answer this particular question because we're in it. We're in the middle of it. You're on the outside of it, and I think maybe you can be a little bit more objective. And so before we explore what you're seeing in the JJ McCarthy performance, I'm in the group that is in kind of eye-rolling mode, Sean, regarding the approach verbally, publicly, that the head coach and now even the QB are taking. And that is, reminding us that, feet and eyes. I'm always telling about feet and eyes. And what's the other one? Base body ball. Base body. There are all these sayings that are attempts, I guess, Sean, to sort of explain why he's struggling. That, to me, the newest one, by the way, was from JJ yesterday about he's rewiring his neurological pathways. And I'm going, man, that's too much. To me, it comes off like this is a lab experiment rather than just figure out what habits you have to improve on and go do it. So are we making too much out of the approach here, or does it contribute to the notion that, my God, this kid's not even close, even if eventually he could end up being a really good quarterback?
Yeah, and I think eventually, Dan, he is going to be a good player. I've stated that on here. I think there's, at the college level, he had accuracy, didn't throw it a lot. He's still in the infancy. He hasn't even played a full season yet as a starting quarterback. So let's put that aside because we're talking about now and exactly what your question is. So I do, no matter how I criticize or compliment, I'm going to always be honest. I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm going to tell you, I think JJ McCarthy knows how to win, and I think he's going to be a good player. Mm-hmm. You've seen flashes real quick. Well, in both Chicago games, at the end of one, and to get him into this one, and then the defense, allowed him to go down, and they lose the game. But under duress and in pressure situations, he's come through a couple times this year. But he's got a lot to learn. All right, now, to your question, I'm 180 degrees different from the way they're talking during the season. Mechanics matter to me. When I teach and train kids, I'm a mechanics fanatic. I'm not a robotics guy. I can tell you this, though, the things that they're telling you That's all off-season stuff and lonely work when you're reading a book and you're thinking about it. If you're JJ and going through, you see him like in college, and I still think he does in the NFL. He sits down and meditates before the game, right? And that's great. All that to get in your zen, fine. Too much clutter if this is what you're thinking about during the season. Hence why we're having some trouble. All this baseball. I mean, we all have our slogans we go to or stuff. You know, I like base balance and load, where you keep the ball loaded. You got good base, good balance. But if I'm emphasizing that and constantly have that on my mind, my number one goal is to remove clutter, not to add to it.
Right.
And it looks to me like he's playing with clutter. And I get all the jargon of the motivational Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins motivational stuff.
Right.
I do, and I understand that. But like anything, I've said it here before. How many coaches do we know constantly beating up mental and emotional and physical mechanics and players during the season? Minimal. That's done between your last game and when you get to the next one. So you train it. I always compare golf and quarterbacking. I just do, because there's a lot of parallels to the mental approach. It's hard to play the position angry on golf. If you're angry and you're over gripping, same thing with football. Now, focused or irritated, sometimes when you got the ball and you got to make a first down running. I'm just talking about your approach. When everybody else, the middle linebacker can do that because he's flying around and beating people up. You've got 21 other guys you're dealing with, defense, and your other 10 on offense, not sans you, and really 22 with you. So I'm trying to remove clutter. So all this stuff you're telling yourself sounds great and allowed. But Gatorade wasn't created during the season. It was created in the offseason so you could drink it during the season.
Yeah.
Clutter, removed. I know what I'm going to. I need a bottle of water. Great. What goes in? I don't know all the alkaline, but I do know this. I got to drink it to stay hydrated. Same thing here. Why am I adding all this clutter? And to the media and fans, we're sitting here going, what? I can't. They can't fathom it. And so when a guy drops back to pass, just like they say, read Golf Digest. If you got more than 3 or 4 swing thoughts on your 3x5 card, if they can't fit, it's too many. So all this stuff is fine as long as you're applying it with your mechanics. Because if you're doing that during the season, how am I executing a game plan and studying defenses? There's not enough hours in the day. So while I love the thought between elimination time when your season's over and training camp. And then asking questions. And I don't mind you're sitting around, you go in and have your meeting with your head coach, Kevin, and you say, hey, man, let's make sure we stay focused on those things we've talked about. Great. But I'm up in the media and I'm working on this. How about right now I'm at the stage of the season? Dude, just go make me a play. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Let's get it done. Execute, simplify in your own mind. I'm not adding clutter. It's tough enough to succeed against good teams and bad teams, let alone when you're carrying around the burden of a Santa Claus bag full of tricks in your mind that you're trying to execute. Can't do it. And so I get he's young. He's still doing it. He benefited from that. But remember, when he left Michigan, won a national title, he was the veteran who'd been in a system for a while. Now he's new in the system, hasn't even played a full season. I don't want to overload with all the stuff you may have learned at your academy in high school. That'll be fine in the offseason.
Right.
I need your mind clear. I'd rather have him come back to me and say, you know what I'm going to do? Within the structure of this offense, I'm going to go like I'm playing in my Thanksgiving Day turkey bowl with my buddies like we did in high school. I'm going to let the damn thing rip, and I'm going to cut it loose. What's happened in the last 2 minutes of a game, Dan? Normally, while they may be sending it in a 2-minute drill and you're playing fast, you're not thinking. That's why you see a lot of success. Sometimes defenses will zone it up and give you a chance to get completions. But as a quarterback, I always like it because you know what? The game's in your hands. Okay, call 2 plays before we come out. Boom, hit the screen, come back, next play, hit it. You look over, they may be telling you, but coaches are usually playing. In our day, we handled it. We knew the 5 or 6 plays we were going to. Never cross over a formation. When you started in a right formation, stay in a right formation. And then you're execute, because then you're just becoming a football player. But, man, you're carrying around that whole burden. And look at his success in these 2 Chicago games where he's been able to at the end. Because now he's just going back to what he knows instead of overloading his mind. And you just can't do it. You'll blow a gasket. It's like your internet's going to go out because 8 billion people are on it. So get rid of that. We'll deal with that in the offseason. I'd just as soon have you say, you know what? It's time for me to go be a damn football player because that's what he is, and he'll be good. But get rid of the clutter now. I'd rather at this stage of the season eliminate some of these things. Yeah. Let's execute what you do well and give our team a chance. Because right now, JJ McCarthy looks like a guy who's overwhelmed in the majority of the game and the majority of the season. And like I said, I love his game. I think he's going to be fine. Right now, he looks like the biggest mistake that the Vikings made was to let Sam Darnold walk, even regardless of his game last week, Sam Darnold. I'm just talking.
Yeah,
it looks to me like it's a guy who's got too much on his mind and is trying too hard to please all this and that instead of just going and doing what JJ's always done. Go win games, man. We'll deal with all the other stuff, your mechanical swing. I play golf a lot, Dan, and I'm going to tell you, you go up and down like everything. And I'm going to tell you right now, every time I go get a lesson and then go right to the golf course, do you want to know how well I play? I got zero. It's like the first time I've ever played because, okay, hand grip and make sure you wear the club and your takeaway and your tempo. And by the time you've done it, even if you hit a good shot, you assume it's a bad one because my mind's overloaded. So I would assume more simplicity, and we'll do all the psychological Tony Robbins stuff in the offseason.
Let me ask you to translate this part of a quote from yesterday. He said, coming in here, I was taught how to play quarterback in a very different way. And that's expected going into the league, going into any new team, any new system. But at the end of the day, it was really just the injuries that I felt like took away all those reps to make those a habit and make them concrete. So when he talks about this is all very new, playing, I'm being taught to play quarterback in a very different way. What do you think he's referring to there?
Well, I think he's got to be referring to the way it was taught in their meeting room or had, Harbaugh to O'Connell. Mm-hmm. Now, there is a big difference in the way they go about their business, right?
True,
I mean, as far as one's in a different, Jim is always coached, kind of the way he played.
Yep.
We're going to get under center. We're going to run play action, and we're going to play this way. Kevin, well, we've seen it in their result. It feels like they're pass first, run second, right? Jim's always been run first, pass second, play action, play in the strength. So regardless, he didn't say in there that I wasn't coached right at either place, being coached different. Of course you are. And you'll be coached different every time a new coach or you go somewhere else, or if Kevin left or a new quarterback coach gets a job or whatever, you're going to be coached a little bit different. The verbiage will change. Maybe somebody will teach different mechanics, but a curl's still a curl. A dig route's still a dig route. There's only 11 guys. How we identify them is usually the same: Will, Sam, and Mike. So the basis of football, between the 100 yards, the stripes, and 52 and a third, whatever it is, wide, it's still football. So it tells me, even with this answer, that he's still grabbing some of the past stuff, bringing it with him here, and saying, well, I've coached different. Yes, and guess who else is coached different? Caleb Williams is coached different. Ben Johnson's unlike something he may have seen. Even though Lincoln Riley and Ben Johnson got mad scientists written all over them, the mechanics may be different, but it's still football. He's got to know, and I don't mean this disrespectful to his coach at all, but I tell this to anybody: you got to know garbage in, garbage out, good stuff in. I'm not saying what he's teaching garbage, but you got to know what to come in and bring in and keep in, and what to kind of let go in one ear and out the other, so you don't overload your mind with your ass, basically. You don't want to do that. So that's what I'm asking. I mean, so coach different, the NFL, and it moves faster. It just does. It does, and the windows close quicker. So if you're not on time, so the offense is far different than what Jim was running in college. So I get it completely. Different doesn't mean wrong, but different, there is an adjustment. And he's right about the reps. The injuries have gotten in the way of consistent practice and game reps. But to me, it feels, looks, and sounds like that overanalyzation and can wear you down, man. You get rid of the numbers. Give me one. Get us in the end zone and find a way to get the second one, which is a win.
But if indeed the head coach is accurate in terms of the habits that he believes are not, to use his terms, settled in concrete yet, are as important as KOC seems to say to being accurate. In other words, to not throwing the ball, 10 feet over JJ's head on that short route to the right side that actually led to a bunch of boos. I come away from that saying they did miscalculate then on how ready he was. You can't blame him for being hurt and not even able to practice much of last year. But if that's the case, and he still needs to be broken down to be built back up fundamentally to the degree that these quotes seem to indicate, then aren't you admitting that we jumped the gun, man? I'm thinking that we could hand him the ball and really try to keep this thing together, and in the same year try to be as good a contender as we wanted to be.
You're 100% correct. What was our biggest comment when we went last year, coming into this year, the off season? Sam was. We've had these conversations. And when they decided, and we talked about this, so could you keep Sam Darnold with the franchise tag, all the things we discussed last year. And we said, and the biggest thing he's going to face is, do they have the guts to turn it over to a guy who's in essence going to be a rookie that is coming off, not just a rookie, but a rookie who was injured the entire year and is going to have no reps? Are you willing to part with everything and just turn the whole, hand him the Ferrari now, and here's the keys, dude. But you don't want to turn a Ferrari into a Pinto. Not that there's anything wrong with Pintos, but I don't want an AMC Pacer. I had one of those, so I don't want one. But they don't move as slick and as fast. But it was a risk, and you were going to have a step back, regardless of how you felt about him coming out, because I feel highly about him too. I love that they drafted him. It didn't mean you had to force feed it, because everything is such instant gratification. And I know Kevin saw something in Michigan. This ain't Michigan. Right, I thought too. I also know he sees something in the kid's attitude and the way that people gravitate to. I get it. But it's still got to get under center and play 65 plays a game. And if it's still not in concrete, as JJ says, and it's a work in progress, couldn't that a work in progress be brought along a tad slower when you had a Pro Bowl quarterback who threw 30-plus touchdowns and it wasn't going to cost you $50 million? I mean, probably. This isn't hindsight. This is the stuff we asked even then.
We talked about
as good as JJ may end up being.
Yes.
It's still, he's not there yet. And now you're learning. Guess what happens now, Dan? You were talking about miss by 10 yards, and you hear me talk about that sniper mentality of aim small, miss small, where even your misses are on the golf course, that your misses are still playable. Some of his misses aren't playable, but he's not inaccurate yet. You start to get to a point. What happens when you start to miss stuff like that? Then you go back and overanalyze.
Yeah, right.
It could just be that one play you didn't, too wide a base, you overstrided because you anticipated, and the ball missed. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. Not that the losses are a molehill, but when it comes to mechanics, it's like, dude, you don't have to it's not a lifetime sentence to miss a throw or two. It happens. My question is, how are we going to overcome the next one? Just get it to him. We'll work on this. 6 days we prepare. The 7th day we go play. So we can discuss this after. I don't want all this stuff eating you up on the sidelines. You missed a throw. And I know but I can't keep living like that. So for me, it's okay to admit, and I know it's hard for them. But who thought JJ McCarthy was going to be ready and go out and do this? It's rare that the Strouds and Jaden Daniels, that's not normal. What they did as rookies.
That's right.
That is not normal. What is normal is Jackson Dart's up and down. Is JJ McCarthy win and then lose and throw a bunch of picks. That's a veteran too. That's what's normal. And you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in over my head. Mm-hmm. Talk to veterans who, from Aikman 0-11 to Manning 28 picks. What did we think was going to happen, especially for a guy who didn't throw 40 times a game and has been 40 times a game in college and has been hurt? I mean, unless you thought he dressed in a phone booth already, it took that guy in Buffalo quite a while to get to the point he's at now. So I think they overplayed the JJ's hand on a team that had playoff aspiration and is now reeling, and that does not mean that JJ's not going to be a great player. I think he can if he uses this properly. But what I do know, and I made it look tough plenty of times, that the more overloaded and cramped and more things you're thinking about as a player prevent you from reacting. And this is a reactionary position, and you have to react, and you have to adjust and adapt. And adjust and adapt is removing the clutter from your mind. There's enough clutter without you adding it yourself. Yes, the mistake is it is premature to think that JJ McCarthy was going to win 11 or 12 games this year. And the mistake is they put it all on him, and now you're reeling because not just him, but he is not playing good football right now. But I think that he'll learn because he's a smart and competitive guy, and it'll serve him well down the road. But as a Viking fan, or you don't want to hear that right now because you still got 6 games to go or whatever it is to play, and see if you can salvage a playoff berth if you get going in a very difficult division and a difficult opponent coming up.
Sunday afternoon, an NFL analyst you may know named Emmanuel Acho, he had posted a video praising the late go-ahead touchdown pass that didn't hold up, unfortunately, because of the long kickoff return and the late Bears field goal. So Chris Carter, who you know well and who just joined us on Monday, in fact, he was at the game on Sunday, he quoted the post, but then added, "Did you watch the first 59 minutes?" And then he had a thumbs down emoji. So at that point, you may have heard this. One of McCarthy's private coaches, Greg Holcomb, responded with a kind of an obscene, calling Carter a bleeping clown. He has apologized for that, and I think since deleted the reply. So here's what's interesting to me from your perspective. I heard from some fans who said, I don't disagree completely with what CC said because he was kind of stating the truth, but I don't like it when it's an ex-player. He's supposed to be a little bit more understanding than that. And the only reason he'd do that is because he went to Ohio State and JJ's a Michigan guy, so he liked piling on. Is it considered sort of against the unwritten rules for a player, a former player, Hall of Fame player in this case, to offer that kind of opinion, which was tough in the moment? I thought it was accurate, but was pretty tough. Now, Carter was very nuanced and very balanced in what he had to say about McCarthy beyond that one comment. But what do you think? What rules do you think should apply?
Well, I'm looking at it from a player standpoint, former player standpoint, and a broadcaster standpoint, right? And seeing it from the fans' point of view. Listen, I know Viking fans and Bears fans and they're Chicago with their former players, no matter what city you go in, they want you to do nothing but tell them how good they are. But do you really? Do you really? Did Chris actually point out something that was wrong? The answer is no. Our sensitivity, well, you're a former player and you're a former Viking. I don't know about the Michigan-Ohio State thing. Ask me. I'm an SC guy. I know we're in the Big Ten. I'm as critical of my former team as anybody is, and I played at SC for all those years. So to me, if you're fair without making it personal, why should we be mad? We pay Chris Carter when he's on TV when I'm doing my show to be. And then when we don't give the truth, there's some people who are, well, I can't trust you. You lose credibility if you don't. Right. So he's got his career. Yeah. So if you want the truth, I'll give you the truth. Chris is right. JJ wasn't very good for 59 minutes, but he came in big at the end, and they didn't get a good special teams play and get a stop. The other side, I understand as a personal quarterback trader that you want everybody to say great things about your quarterback, and in Holcomb's case, and rightfully so. I don't think anybody was criticizing the private trainer, because obviously he's done well with JJ because JJ's been successful at every level. So I get that too. But I just don't make it I'm not going at a guy who criticized my team because he was a former player and a former player for that very team that's got him in the Hall of Fame. Chris's job is to be honest. I come on here every week. While I love JJ McCarthy, I'm not going to rip his private quote. I don't know what they do in their private sessions. I'm sure pretty good. JJ's a first-round pick. But on the other side of it is, what do you want to hear? Did you want to hear him say, yeah, the guy's been awesome? So everybody can go and say, what do you mean he's been awesome? He's been good at times. He's been bad at times. And he's been average in between at times. That means if he uses it right, I imagine JJ McCarthy's going to funnel all this and take it all in and go do it and play really good football down the road. Right now, he's still in a process. It's a learning thing, and it's a learning curve. We expect too much out of rookie quarterbacks. We just do. So there's no written protocol that I got to go to because I played with the Chargers and tell you Herbert plays great every week, or as a former player. Yeah. Now, if I cross the line and say, yeah, JJ didn't play well, I wonder what his personal trainer's coaching him. You know what I'm saying? Yes. That guy must. Now we're treading into. Right. Come on, man. Territory. You got to be fair. Just like if you said Chris dropped the ball, which he didn't do very often in his career, that defines his whole career, that he dropped the ball in a game when he caught 8 billion other ones on balls that were thrown over his head, and he still made a catch. So we got to stop the sensitivity. If you want honest opinion, then you're going to get it. Now, I think we can see through when a guy's made it personal. I don't think Chris made it personal. No. He loves Minnesota, and I understand that quarterback trainer is like, oh, so I'm covering the whole gamut. I'm in the media. I train quarterbacks. I played for Minnesota, and I played in the league. But I also know how hard it is because, trust me, I've made it look hard at times. But I don't think criticizing a guy properly, just like you compliment him, as long as it's not personal, should make people mad. It's just a fact, and maybe it helps somebody get better. Yeah. Chris knows football.
He does.
I'm sure his private trainer knows football too. So I like to think I know some football. So there's not one answer for all of it, but understanding that it's okay to be critical, because the first 59 minutes really weren't great football by JJ. And I can tell you who knows that more than anybody. Him. That's why he's going to be good. Self-criticism and self-evaluation is your number one thing before any coach opens his mouth or any private trainer or any former player, because we're not in those meeting rooms. And you can't get to this point without having some skill set. There's just some things that need to be polished up, but I'm never backing off from my opinion on a guy. I'm on here to give you honest feelings, and if those honest feelings hurt somebody else's feelings, they're just going to have to get over it. That's just the way it is.
Does it do him help or harm though when they had the Lions.
You're talking about JJ?
Talking about JJ McCarthy.
Okay.
They obviously have a great performance. Certainly their best performance of the year against the Lions. And I think it was that week. Then it was we come to find out that JJ refers to the player he becomes or wants to be on Sunday as 9. That there's this alter ego, and I don't doubt that's maybe how he thinks, but I'm going, man, wait to establish or to build the myth until you've got a body of work at this level, where you can go down that road. I just don't think he does himself any favors, even if it's not intended as anything. Say, I've got this. I mean, they're all Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They didn't talk about alter egos on Sunday. So does he doing himself any favors when he goes down that road before anything really has happened to the good?
Well, in a different case, you use it to that guy who gives himself the self-appointed nickname, right?
Yes.
Like it's 4 games. I'm not talking about JJ, but 4 games into his career, you say, dude, nobody calls you that but you, and then you expect us to call you that. And then when you struggle, like you're the one or the man, and then you throw 4 picks. It's like, well, you were the man last week.
Yeah, exactly.
So, of course, when you do that stuff, whether if it motivates him, whatever, floats his boat to get going, any of us that gets whatever that motivation is. I like the fact the alter ego, if it's Hulk, great, but we expect you to play like Hulk. If it's 9, wherever you go, no problem.
Right.
But when you say that, especially on social media, is brutal and relentless. You open yourself up to criticism from everybody. And then, but we don't need boring. I like the guy who's got confidence and
sure, no question.
It's okay.
Yes.
But here's what happens, Dan, is eventually we'll all do that for him. That alter ego's kicking ass today. Once you do and let us know and kind of joke, trying to get into my alter ego where, this beast comes out, great, and then leave it. And then we'll all say, man, where's that alter ego? Let us tell you how great you are. I've always just thought, it's good to have confidence and let people know that you're good, you're overcoming it and fine. But I just think that now with social media, 20 years ago, we'd have heard it once and moved on. But now you'll get reminded of it, good or bad, along the way. So JJ's going to learn, man. He's a kid, and we've got to understand that. And I know he's an adult making money, but he's still a kid when it comes to the infancy of this game. But yes, when you, like any of us, I've been there. You say something, you're like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that, and we all do. And then you learn and you go back. How he handles it'll be fine. But yes, you open yourself up, good or bad, to criticism or compliments when you're going good. The truth of the matter is, if you take care of your business,
that's it.
Which he will, we'll all do all the great stuff for you. We'll all do all the talking for you, like we all intend to do, and I think like Viking fans plan. And I can tell you this, with the commitment the Vikings made to JJ McCarthy, they're not turning on him anytime soon, because they gave up a Pro Bowler and a guy who's playing like a Pro Bowler of the Giants, 2 guys that are killing it right now, that went through the same stuff JJ's going through right now.
You're right.
They were obliterated by their people. They were obliterated by, meaning some of their home crowd. They were obliterated. They were complimented, said he's young, but they went through getting kicked in the teeth. And now look, JJ's got some toughness, and that alter ego is going to have to be tough because they face another good defense this week, and it's going to be a challenge, and he's got to get after it. And I would fully expect that along the way, he's going to look back and say, my rookie year, the injury, and then his second year were the greatest thing that happened to me because I learned a great deal. Just remove the clutter, and you don't need our approval or our validation yet. When we're asked, our job's to give it, whether people like it or not.
Kill the clutter, I think, is the mantra from Sean Salisbury today. I'm very late. We got 1 minute left. If you can get this in quick, what are the chances the Vikings can beat the Packers on Sunday?
Well, the chance exists because I've seen every week all of a sudden say so. It happens every week. Listen, if they both play their best, the Packers are the better team right now. JJ's going to have an out-of-body experience. That doesn't mean clutter it up. Just deliver the ball to the open guy, get through it, and play a little, when I say street yard, play a little relaxed street yard in your mind, not where you're just running helter-skelter. Just play a little football like you did when you were in the 7th grade with your buddies and let it rip. But you're going to have to defend the whole field. They've got a good quarterback. The key is keeping him upright where he doesn't have to, bail out of that pocket soon. You're going to get a vicious defense coming after him. But if they don't protect the football, they'll be in trouble, and he's going to have to convert a lot of third downs and touchdowns in the red zone would be a big thing this week.
We will say happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, because obviously next Thursday is Thanksgiving, so you will be off. We will be off as well. So thanks again for all the insight, and we will chat in a couple weeks. How's that sound?
I love it, and good luck to the Vikings, and thanks for the great fans, and always thank you for having me on, and I hope everybody has a happy and healthy and safe Thanksgiving.
Thanks, my friend. Be good.
You bet. Thank
Sean
you.
Salisbury, excellent stuff from him. We'll finish with this. Vikings take a dive. JJ tries to survive. KOC's jive. Moss and Carter ain't dropping no 5. That's not bad. That's a nice variation.